Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive Live, a special Thursday night edition. It's October 7th, 2010. Damian Nelson coming to you here from the PWR studios, coming off the heels of TNA's Live Impact and Live Reaction. Starting off our TNA Bound for Glory coverage. Bound for Glory, of course, this Sunday on pay-per-view, coming to us from Daytona Beach, Florida. And a lot of things to talk about from tonight's show. And we're going to be taking your phone calls. The number is 347-996-5278. Again, the number 347-996-5278. We also have a chat room going on here on Blog Talk Radio and also a chat room at pwrshow.com, the chatmosphere at pwrshow.com. We're also going to be referencing some of your tweets. Our Twitter username is PWR Show. Again, our Twitter username is PWR Show. So, much hyped, much talked about was tonight's TNA Impact Live on a Thursday night on Spike TV. And let's run down and talk about some of the things that happened. A couple of the highlights, I would say, would be opening the show, Abyss abducting Dixie Carter. Show started off hot with that angle. Dixie then later would say that she wants Abyss fired, and we'll talk about how that all transpired and what happened with that as we go down the program here. As expected, Mickie James debuted on tonight's Live Impact for TNA Wrestling. Mickie James, now a part of TNA Wrestling, back with TNA Wrestling, formerly of WWE, was released from WWE a little while back and now shows up in TNA. We would also hear from Mickie James not only on the Live Impact but also on the Reaction. Mick Foley and Ric Flair did what I thought was deliver a solid effort on tonight's Impact. A very, very solid effort on tonight's show. A bloodbath, bumps, spots, all kinds of stuff all over the place, but a good match from these two men, and we'll talk more about that in a minute as well. RVD threatening to quit, and The Shore debuted, and it should be washed ashore. David Hero here with me on the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive Live. David Hero, Impact Live tonight. Bound for Glory this Sunday on pay-per-view. The winner of that Battle Royal was Kurt Angle, who wins the $100,000 and the momentum going into Sunday's live Bound for Glory pay-per-view.
Have you ever seen cleaner money than the money Kurt Angle was holding in the ring tonight?
I think they just got it from the bank this evening.
I mean, I've never seen $100 bills quite so big before. Amazing.
Well,
Damian, where do you start tonight?
Here's the thing. I want to preface this review by saying we've got absolutely nothing against any of the performers, any of the wrestlers, anybody who went out there and busted their ass tonight in that ring as part of this show. But for a show that was so heavily hyped, a show that could have meant so much, and a show that, as you said, David Hero, should have only been done for the reason of selling pay-per-views on Sunday, came off pretty flat.
Well, first of all, I think everyone that watched tonight's show better be thanking our good, close personal friend, Al Snow, because if it wasn't for Al Snow, Dixie Carter may have not have been saved from Abyss kidnapping her in the Impact Zone tonight.
That is true. That is true. Speaking of zones, the Chatmosphere zone, if you will, at pwrshow.com. Got a couple of comments. This one specific to Reaction. Blanchard Buzz saying, highlight of the night, hands down, Ric Flair interview on Reaction. However, Big Rain says the highlight of the night was the show going off the air. Very mixed reviews from this live TNA Impact. We're going to be taking your phone calls in the second half of the show, and we want to hear your pass-fail grade. Your pass-fail grade of this live Impact. David Hero, I got to say, this show, in my opinion, did nothing, absolutely nothing, to want to purchase TNA's pay-per-view on Sunday. As a matter of fact, that matchup we got from Mick Foley and Ric Flair should have been on the pay-per-view, it seems.
Absolutely, it should have been. I tell you what, those two guys busted their butts tonight. And Ric Flair once again proves that he is the best entertainer, wrestler, whatever you want to call it, because he went out there and just dominated. I mean, he took a beating. He face first in the thumbtacks. His arms. The funny thing is Mick Foley was wearing a T-shirt and a flannel and everything else and didn't take one bump in the thumbtacks. Ric Flair just did his trunks all over the place.
But, you know, I got to say about those kinds of matchups, especially given the history of those two performers, Ric Flair and Mick Foley, it's a bit troublesome to watch at times because you just know that this is a situation where either of these men is going to do everything in their power to over-deliver and deliver in that matchup, and at the same time potentially putting themselves at unnecessary risk. And
that happened to Mick Foley tonight because he overshot that first table by about 2 feet.
Big time he overshot it. He may have dislocated his shoulder, broken his collarbone again in that bump. But you know what? The highlight of the night for sure was that match.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't OJ and EY?
I don't have the opportunity to watch Reaction, and apparently those two, OJ, Orlando Jordan, and EY Eric Young, have been teaming up for quite a few weeks on Reaction.
You mean Explosion?
On Explosion, yeah. Sorry about that. And Eric Young is a great performer. He's a solid performer. He's good on the mic, and they keep trying all this different stuff with him. He was scared of the pyro before, then he, was Super Eric, and then he was part of the whole Canadian thing, and a lot of people were comparing him to Chris Jericho, and then he disappears for so long, and then he comes back and he's doing this. Now, I will say, we did get a lot of feedback on our Twitter account saying that people are now fans of EY.
Well, he's an entertaining guy, but tonight's show wasn't supposed to be about EY. Tonight's show is to get the casual fan that hasn't bought a TNA pay-per-view to get them to be interested to buy it, to say, hey, this could be awesome. And what do? They give you one segment with the Shore, followed up by a tag match with EY and OJ. Now, if that's not going to turn the casual fan off, I don't know what else they could have done. But that was terrible layout of the show. Tonight's show should have had interviews with Ken, with Jeff Hardy, with Kurt Angle, with Nash and Sting. Not interviews the whole night, but build it around your money-making matches for the pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? Which they did not do.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean,
I understand why they brought up Mickie James to make her the referee, but they gave her a lot of time tonight.
Mm-hmm.
They have their biggest. This is their, and I'm going to say, this is their WrestleMania on Sunday.
Right.
And they did nothing tonight special that would make me or anybody else that was back and forth on ordering this pay-per-view to say, oh, yeah, now I'm definitely going to order it. The best part of it that would have made any interest for the match was at the very end of Reaction between Kurt and Ken. But here's the problem with that.
Ow, my nuts.
No. The problem with that is it ended 11 o'clock Milwaukee time.
Yeah.
Okay? East Coast, it's midnight.
Right.
Well, who really now stayed up that late to watch the whole thing?
Especially after that 2 hours of Impact. Not many.
And that's the problem. That segment should have been earlier in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But they also booked the Battle Royal wrong also.
That Battle Royal was a complete disaster. And there were rules, but there were no rules. It was like a Royal Rumble light, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, God, here's the frustrating thing, Dave. I talked to you earlier today, and what did I say? I said, I think I'm setting myself up here. I think I'm going to be disappointed. I think I'm looking too forward to this live Impact.
Yep, and I told you it's going to be great. Boy.
Well, the show started off, it was intriguing, but it was sort of awkward at times as well with Abyss kidnapping, if you will. Dixie Carter.
Wait, hold on. How is he kidnapping her?
Abducting her.
With 1,000 people in front of him on live TV.
Well, they were scared of Janice.
You know what I'm saying?
They didn't want to intervene.
If you're going to kidnap something, why do you take him into the impact zone? You throw him in the trunk and drive out to the, out somewhere, the Everglades. Come on, really?
Yeah, well, it happened to Eric Bischoff coming out and making the quote-unquote save, I guess. Bischoff seemed a little frustrated. I'm not sure if everything went as it should have in that opening segment. Matter of fact, he
you
hopped
can
on
tell
fence
it didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He pretty aggressively said, cut it. Because I think they were supposed to go to break and then come back with Sting and Nash and Pope entering. But Bischoff, talking to those three next, obviously those three expecting to go into Bound for Glory on Sunday in a matchup with Jeff Jarrett, Hulk Hogan, and Samoa Joe. And we learned that Hulk Hogan, suffering from that back injury and surgery, will not be able to participate not only tonight but on Sunday. So it's going to be a handicap match, Pope, Nash, and Sting versus Joe.
You know Hogan's going to come out with the Spirit of 76 headband around, and just make it down at least to ringside. I mean, there's no way he's not going to show. There's too much money invested into this pay-per-view promoting him. He's on the billboards, the posters, the whole deal. He'll be there in some shape or fashion.
Well, we'll see. I don't know if I buy that.
It's Hulk Hogan, brother. Come on.
Yeah, but Hulk Hogan, the brother's laid up, brother.
You know what? Who knows how old that footage is?
Well, we did see the EV2 guys outside the Philadelphia arena earlier this week, quote unquote. We know that was actually late September when that happened, but whatever. Mickie James, David Hero, we knew that she was going to be a part of TNA Wrestling. She debuts tonight to what I thought was a bit of a dud. They showed her arriving almost like they did with Ric Flair on January 4th and getting to the Impact Zone. They're saying that's Mickie James going to break, come back. They do the Divas matchup, or the Knockouts matchup, rather, for the ownership of the Beautiful People theme and the Beautiful People name, Angelina Love and Velvet Sky winning that. And then from there, it was announced that Mickie James would be the special guest referee for this Sunday's four-way match between all four of those participants for the TNA Knockouts Championship. Mickie James coming out to, she's a hardcore country or country cowgirl or something like that.
Yeah.
Comes out
she almost cut a heelish promo.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she got a pretty good reaction.
Across as the heel.
Got a pretty good reaction from the crowd, though. But one thing
she was wearing. How could she not?
One thing you were hoping didn't happen if we saw Mickie tonight was a hot shot title win.
Yeah, thank God. That would have been bad.
Yep.
You know what? It's funny. Every time they bring in somebody that's kind of fresh off of Raw or SmackDown TV, they always seem to put them like in a special guest referee match.
Yeah. They did it with Kurt Angle. They did it with Bobby Lashley, I think. They did it with
Foley.
All right. Well, again, we're taking your phone calls. We're taking your phone calls in about the next 17 minutes or so. The number 347-996-5278. 347-996-5278. We're talking about.
Damien, I got a question for you.
Yes,
Who hired EV2? Who hired EV2?
Dixie Carter.
So why can't you fire Abyss?
Well, Abyss is fired as of midnight, October 11th.
No. But why did she have Bischoff do it? Why couldn't she just say, he's fired,
scared.
get him out of here?
He was traumatized. Who knows what he was going to do to her?
See, this is just the poor execution of the whole game plan. Little things like that.
Well,
you know,
DVD made their return to TNA Impact. They were in New York City. They say that at Bound for Glory, not tonight, at Bound for Glory, they're going to make the biggest announcement of their career that will change tag team wrestling forever.
Well, I can't wait to see that. I mean, really, what could change the history of what could change tag team wrestling forever?
They are 23-time tag team champions. Haven't seen them in TNA for about a minute. And, I just don't care about Team 3D. Sorry.
You know, here's the problem with TNA. Every announcement is going to change TNA forever.
Including Dixie Carter saying tonight, or saying leading up to tonight, that the company was going to change. It was going to change forever. It wouldn't be anything big and anything huge, but it would be something we would notice starting tonight. And quite frankly, aside from a new ending logo and graphic, they didn't change a damn thing.
You know what would have been cool to have seen tonight would have been Nash and Sting and Pope beating up Eric Bischoff. just to get a little more heel heat on them, even though they're going to be the baby faces on Sunday. I think that would have been cool.
Yeah. God, frustrating.
And Ken Anderson should have won that Battle Royal tonight. And it's not that because I've known Ken, he's a buddy or whatever else. It would have made sense for Ken to screw Kurt in the Battle Royal. Would have made more sense.
Well,
now there's doubt in people's mind. Oh, wow. Is Ken really going to be an asshole, or is he not?
Well, I think we found out on reaction.
Not really. Because if you think about it, the stuff that went back and forth between Ken and Kurt, it's stuff that Ken has been doing the entire time he's been in TNA. He's the smartass.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, Ken says, "Hey, Kurt, you hit me. We're supposed to work. We'll go over on AJ."
Right.
Ken didn't cut a heel promo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He didn't. He was just being who he normally is.
Right. Well, let's continue talking about the live Impact. After that matchup, as I said, the Beautiful People goes back where it belongs, the namesake and the music, if you will, back with Velvet Sky and Angelina Love. Mickie James announces a special referee for the Knockouts Championship match on Sunday at Bound for Glory. We then see Dixie Carter saying she wanted Abyss fired tonight. And as you talked about before, she sends Eric Bischoff out to do it. She also wants him humiliated. But before that would happen, it would be that matchup, last man standing, Mick Foley versus Ric Flair. Of course, this one got bloody and wild earlier, Foley taking that bump on the DVD table, which was uniquely set up there. And we see thumbtacks. We see page 159 of Mick Foley's latest book used in the matchup as well. We see blood and carnage everywhere, and quite frankly, this was just #, tremendous. I enjoyed every minute of it. Mick Foley winning this matchup, which I still question, should this match have been on the pay-per-view on Sunday? And going into it, I wasn't really looking forward to this matchup. I'm like, gosh. I mean, we've seen this so many times from these two. Can they bring it? Will they bring it? What's the point of bringing it? And as I said earlier, what are they going to do to themselves? But they delivered and seemingly were fine because Ric Flair was gold again on reaction.
Oh, Ric Flair, like I've said several times now, he is reborn in TNA. He has life back in him. You can tell he's not just handed a script every week and says, here, now it's like, okay, Rick, do your thing, and he's doing it. And he is teaching Fortune how to look like a star, how to talk like a star, how to be a star. And it's only a matter of time before those guys truly do break out and go to the next level.
It's interesting when you say that Flair has a new life and Flair is tuned in and Flair is happy. Matt Hardy sent out a tweet during the show tonight, said this: "I really dig seeing my buds like Tommy Dreamer and Mickie James on Impact. They seem happy, less stressed." He's just saying.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Eric Bischoff then comes out. I'm sorry.
I was going to say it's only a matter of time before Matt Hardy shows up in TNA.
Eric Bischoff then comes out to conduct the firing of Abyss. Instead, we get RVD, who says he will quit if Abyss is fired. Now, David Hero, for a man who is a quote-unquote rock star and lives a rock star life, I was a little surprised by the lack of rock star reaction that RVD got. As a matter of fact, in that promo he did cut from the beach or whatever it was on, actually, I don't know if it was on Impact or if it was before the Glory. I was watching.
That comment he made, how he single-handedly changed TNA.
Yeah, right, yeah, I mean, this guy's real full of himself, huh?
Hey, you know what? He believes the press clippings, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, boy, if that's the attitude that's going on down there in Orlando, I mean, it's just got to be a mess for those guys to put together a show. Yeah. It really does.
Well, RVD is going to quit if Abyss gets fired. He wants his retribution. He wants his match on Sunday. Later on, we would find out what that meant for Abyss. But next, it was a clip of OJ, Orlando Jordan, and Eric Young at a Carnival or Universal Studios or wherever. As I said before, they're now a team. This was just bizarre. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was just
But it's
bizarre.
not going to sell pay-per-view buys.
Because they're not on it. Or are they on it? Because they
who knows? Honestly, I don't know. But tonight, I can't stress this enough. Tonight was the night to sell pay-per-views. And when you have segments like that, the carnival, and the throwing of the balls, and then you have the tag match, and then you have the shore, that is not going to sell pay-per-views. And
when's the last time we've seen Eric Young?
Been awesome.
When's the last time we've seen Eric Young or Orlando Jordan on Impact? You do it this week, but then you do it this week. You do it on a live show. What
they should have done this next week.
Yep.
Or the week after.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could have even had Mickie James debut next week. You know, I mean, whenever Vince brings up new talent, it's always up after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You know, it's always that April, May, June, July is when he brings up, you know, the new talent, not the week before WrestleMania.
You're so dead on there. So dead on. So you're saying we should have seen Mickie at Bound for Glory potentially come in, make an appearance, or do a teaser, and then debut on a subsequent Impact.
Mickie could have been sitting front row at Bound for Glory.
Yeah, why is she here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, do you really think having Mickie as the referee is going to sell pay-per-views?
Absolutely not. Well, maybe a few.
Not many, besides Meathead, and he gets to watch this for free anyhow. What's the difference?
AB.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, though, like I said, reacting favorably to Eric Young. After that matchup, we would see Dixie Carter, Eric Bischoff, and RVD, where the paper is presented to Dixie, who signs off on Abyss being fired on October 11th at 12:01 a.m. so he can participate in that matchup this Sunday night at Bound for Glory. That's a bit unique.
We'll see. We'll see how it's going to hold up. I mean, come on. I mean, you know what's going to happen is Abyss is going to beat RVD in his own match, and RVD's going to beg, come on, you know, I want him to come back, you know, so I can have one more match. And, you know, it'll just be dragged out.
Yeah.
It's interesting, you know, but believe me, they're not going to fire Abyss. There's no way.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive Live. We're live Thursday night, October 7th. Special show starting off our TNA Bound for Glory coverage. We're going to be with you again this Sunday night right after TNA Bound for Glory with a complete wrap-up, highlights, and results of that show. We're going to be taking your phone calls in just a few minutes here on this program. The number, 347-996-5278. Again, the number 347-996-5278. When we reference you, we're going to do so by the area code that you're calling from. And once we take your call, please state your name and location that you are calling from. Michael Toole in the chatmosphere at pwrshow.com says, the Shore is good for at least 10 buys.
That was brutal. Hey, you know what? Becky Bayless is freaking hot, okay?
Yeah.
She, you know, but wow. I mean, talk about having, now they got their own Zack Ryder is what they've done.
Well, and here's the problem, though. Guess what was on at that time on MTV?
The Jersey Shore.
So what are you, reminding people who may have decided to tune into this instead of that? Now, I've never seen an episode. I've tried. I can't tolerate it.
I can't either.
But
you know what's funny is, did you see the tweets from our international fans that they have no idea what the Shore is about because they've never seen the Jersey Shore?
Yes, and TNA's huge in the UK. Man,
yeah.
You know, here's the thing.
Please, preach on, my man.
It can be so good. It can be so good. I'm not saying tonight was a failure. It wasn't.
You know what, Damien? It's close.
But it could be so good. As you said, they could have done so much. I don't know what master they're trying to serve. I don't know what the goal was. I don't know what the goal is. I don't know why and what is keeping them from being as successful as you look at the names on that roster, Dave Hero, RVD, Jeff Hardy, Mr. Anderson, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, Taz on commentary. You've got huge names there.
Don't you think they should have had a vignette or a backstage promo or a promo taped earlier in the day with Fortune or EV2 in the middle of the ring inside the Lethal Lockdown cage.
Absolutely. What is Lethal Lockdown?
Who knows?
Yeah.
You don't, exactly. They didn't do that, and that's so important. You know, they didn't even explain a Monsters Ball match. Okay?
I don't even know if they mentioned it. I don't remember hearing those two words.
Little things like that go a long way to educate the new and or casual fan that have not followed the storyline. Put it this way, if they would have been smart and they would have had, you know, maybe Abyss, they showing him previous Monsters Ball matches and they explained the Lethal Lockdown, people may have bought that pay-per-view. It's like, wow, that's different, it's brutal, it's violent, it's MMA, it's whatever. They didn't do it.
And the Blog Talk Radio.
How can you not give Jeff Hardy, Kenny Anderson, and Kurt Angle more time than just the first three guys in the Battle Royal when you're building your pay-per-view around that triple threat match?
And that's all it was the whole night. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
In the Blog Talk Radio chat room, we're running a chat room there as well. User by the name of Stephen A. Money referenced tonight's Impact, Stephen Money rather, saying BFG might be a good pay-per-view, but I don't think they gained any extra buyers tonight. In fact, they might have turned a few people away from ordering the show.
Mm-hmm.
Also saying, I think that's being generous. A D+. Only thing saving it from an F was Flair Foley.
What does that tell you? That two of the oldest guys on the roster are the ones that saved the show. I mean, they didn't put anybody else in a spot where they could shine, except Abyss. That was it. And then, here's the part that drives me nuts, is when, you know, Abyss throws, 15 guys out?
Yeah.
And RVD can get Abyss out by himself, so now you're saying RVD is better than everyone else in that Battle Royal that Abyss threw out?
And who was it? I think you retweeted Jimmy Corderas, formerly of WWE, saying Abyss was so upset with, RVD was so upset with Abyss that he had enough time to stand in the middle of the ring and pose instead of going after him. You know, I never said I was an expert on this business. And it's so much easier to sit back at home and watch and critique, to be that armchair quarterback. But a lot of this stuff is just seemingly fundamental and frustrating because it seems so basic.
I think TNA has worked so hard to become that PG-13 or TV mature audience that they have forgotten how talented their guys really are.
Could be.
You know what I mean?
Couple of comments. People tooting your horn, David Hero, in the Chatmosphere, PWRshow.com. BSU Dude 1 saying, maybe Damian and Hero are them. No, we're not them. No, are they.
Believe me, I don't want no part of that mess.
Bobby Boucher saying, I forgot Bound for Glory was on this week. And watch Impact this week. And finally, Blanchard Buzz saying, why you two, Damian and Hero, are not on the booking team for TNA blows my mind. You guys know enough people in the company. TNA needs PWR to save them. Well, that's...
Hey, read page 159 of Mick Foley's new book.
You ain't saving nothing. Thank you for those comments and everyone engaging. If you haven't, be sure to check us out at PWRshow.com, our website where you can watch our weekly TV episodes. A brand new episode of PWR Primetime coming up tomorrow. As a matter of fact, here in the studios, it's finishing its rendering process, which it's taken much longer than it needs to, but another Be the Booker segment this week. And I guess, Dave, we can sort of let the cat out of the bag. The Kaz returned this week to the show.
Yes, he did.
I have to tune in to find out what he's up to.
Much.
Well, he's, But,
your buddy.
Well, it used to be. Continuing to talk about TNA Impact, The Shore. We really didn't talk about it. I'm not sure we should because it was just horribly bad. It was painful. Couldn't that have been a pre-tape? Couldn't that have been a series of maybe small vignettes over the course of the show to introduce it? You bring these people out, and, I mean, Jersey Shore is popular, of course, but Is it the same audience? I mean, I don't watch it. I've never seen an episode. I don't know many other wrestling fans that watch it.
I'm sure it's a similar audience, but like I said, you bring these people out after Bound for Glory. I like Becky Bayless, okay? And I think Rob Eccles is a talented guy, but do not associate the Shore with your crown jewel pay-per-view of the year. Wait until the week after and then bring them out. Otherwise, people are going to think that's who's going to be on the pay-per-view.
Yep.
And they got no crowd reaction whatsoever.
Oh, they got crowd reaction.
Well, it was a lot of booing, but I'm just saying, I mean, and that was, like, really bad heat to get. You know, that's like we hate you heat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is not what you're trying to get.
Not at all. And it's not fair to them, to be honest with you, because maybe this is a good gig. Maybe if put out at the right time, maybe if done right, it could be an entertaining little vignette, segment, whatever, from TNA.
Mm-hmm.
But that opportunity completely blown tonight on that live version of TNA Impact, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Finally, it was a $100,000 Battle Royal, which was structured similar to that of the Royal Rumble. Obviously, Raw last Monday night, ending with a Battle Royal as well. First four participants in tonight's TNA Battle Royal were Ken Anderson, Kurt Angle, Jeff Hardy, and AJ Styles. 30, 45, 20, 38, whatever seconds the intervals was, it changed every time it seemed. It all got very interesting when Abyss entered and eliminated up to 15 people, as you alluded to earlier, David Hero. Now, the point of the break-apart brawls before the Royal Rumble on Raw are to do what? To show you a little bit about what you're going to get on the pay-per-view that Sunday. It's rare that we see Battle Royals in WWE otherwise. Tonight, every elimination should have been a part of the Bound for Glory story. Correct me if I'm wrong. Some were, some weren't. But every elimination should have been progressing storylines going into Sunday.
Only two of them were. That was RVD and Abyss and Kurt and Ken. Otherwise, Abyss threw almost everybody else out. And you can tell how much Kevin Nash thought of this Battle Royal. He showed up in his jeans, T-shirt, and tennis shoes.
Maybe he found out too late that he was going to be performing tonight.
Knowing Kev, that was just his way of sending a message.
Did I notice? Did I see Kevin look at his watch a couple times during that matchup?
He might have. He might have.
Counting down to Tuesday, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Battle Royal won by Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle and Ken Anderson, the last two men in the ring. Again, that's good because you want to tell that story going into the Bound for Glory pay-per-view on Sunday. But, you know, overall, was it an entertaining 2 hours of Impact? Yeah. Was it a good 2 hour live Impact special live edition? Was it let me finish here. Was it a good 2 hour live special edition of Impact going into their biggest pay-per-view of the year? I don't think so.
No. And you know what was weird? Is they almost make it seem like Jeff Hardy's not in the triple threat.
He was barely there tonight.
It's like he's been forgotten about.
Yeah.
You know? But like
and
I
absolutely.
Said, no, go ahead.
Absolutely no X division tonight. Nothing like it. Nowhere near it. Nothing close. TNA, remember when they were really focusing on the things that made them different from WWE? They had the strong women's division. They had the X division. They called themselves wrestling, saying we are wrestling. I'm not sure what the differences are now. And without those differences, you got problems if you're either company. And at this point, you got more problems if you're TNA because WWE has that established audience that has no reason, based on tonight's show, no reason to tune in to TNA. I know your mind's in a bunch of different places because coming up this Thursday night, David Hero, it's Thursday PWR, Thursday Pope. The Pope, D'Angelo De Niro, will be joining us on our ESPN radio show. It's going to be great. Hey, listen, I'm just perpetrating what all the peeps are saying out in the world there. We're getting a lot of feedback, a lot of people looking forward to the Pope being on the program Thursday night. It was February 12, 2010, David Hero, where you said, and I quote, the Pope will never headline a TNA pay-per-view. Now he has
he has yet to headline a pay-per-view, has he?
He has yet to do so, but it will be interesting when the Pope spreads his pimpdom on PWR coming up this Thursday
He's not
night.
going to spread his pimpdom on me, that's for damn sure.
It's a special edition.
I'm going to have to ask the Pope what it's like to soar over that top rope, courtesy of the Abyss.
Well, that'll be, you'll have the chance to do that this Thursday night, special Thursday edition of the Pro Wrestling Report. It's Thursday night at 11 Eastern, 10 Central. The Pope will be our guest. Last week, David Hero, Jeff Jarrett was our guest. An insightful interview. The week before that, Robert Roode. And coming up in 2 weeks' time, the man who won the $100,000 Battle Royal tonight, Kurt Angle, will be our guest.
He's not retired.
Well, even still, he's booked. It's solid. It's done.
Okay. Well, what's how his retirement's going?
No matter how long it may or may not be?
Mr. Anderson is going to beat Kurt Angle. He has to. He's got to get his receipt.
Conversation in the chatmosphere, pwrshow.com. One-man dynasty. Pope versus Hero will be epic, all caps.
It's not a match. I'm retired. You couldn't pay me enough money to wrestle the Pope. And you know what? Let's not forget one thing here. I'm in the studio, baby. I control this entire thing, how it's going to work out. He gets a little lippy. We just kill him off. Be done with it.
Bobby Boucher wants you to remind me that the Pope is tapping.
The Pope has been tapping. Miz has been tapping. Rat-tat-tat-tap, baby. That's what it's been going like. You know what? Listen, I'm glad the Pope is going to be in a high-profile match at Bound for Glory. Let's just see how it works out for him.
That's Thursday, PWR Thursday Pope. Our Twitter account is PWR Show, as I said. We just got a message here from Beach Bum Bob, and he says this: every time I think TNA might become a better product than WWE, they break my heart and put out something like this.
Yeah, right now TNA is reminding me a little bit of the Buffalo Bills from the early '90s. I don't watch baseball. No, it's football. 4 Super Bowls, 4 losses. I believe in Kurt Angle. I believe in Ken Anderson. I believe in Jeff Hardy. Okay? I also believe that match will be great. I think the Lethal Lockdown will be a match where everyone in that cage is going to work their butt off, because they're all professionals and they all want what's best. Okay? Those 2 matches right there, and I'm not a big fan of EV2, but those 2 matches there could be amazing.
Conversation in the chat room on our Blog Talk Radio chat room channel. Someone saying here, let me find out actually, Godfather Bundy, wow, you're harsh on the Pope there. I'm not going to repeat that stuff, but dang. C. Bizzle1 saying Hogan and Bischoff is gone after this, I believe. Total failure on their tenure so far.
Do you honestly think that they would show that footage of Hulk Hogan being in a crippled state to then be gone right away? Believe me, everything is being done for a reason, and they will prove it on Sunday.
David, here, I appreciate your optimism, but every time you talk like that, my question for you is this. Everything should be being done for a reason, but is it? And that's the question I don't know if there's an answer to. And, David, okay. Go ahead.
Well, no, hold on. Here's the thing, Damien. They're showing Hogan, here's the thing. They are showing Hogan as being crippled, okay? I can guarantee you at one point in that now 3-on-2 match on Sunday, Hogan is going to walk down to the ring, the place is going to explode, and then a la NWO, he's going to stab everybody in the back. And then it'll be Hogan and Bischoff, and who knows, Jeff Jarrett and somebody else will be a part of They.
Is that a DHHS moment?
Absolutely.
But here's the question. Here's the question. Shouldn't that have happened tonight? Would that?
No, not at all. Not at all.
But wouldn't that have built interest for Bound for Glory?
No, because now everyone's like, oh, Hogan's hurt. He's not going to be there. So when he shows up, and he walks down that aisle, the crowd will go nuts.
But how many people are there or are ordering the show for Hogan?
I'm sure there's a few. Damien, I'm DHHS in this one. There's no way Hogan will not be there. And now, then Sting and Nash can say, see, we told you he's a snake. They had the bogus footage of the back surgery, everything. I mean, he did have the back surgery, but I think that was a few weeks ago, you know. It's all manipulation right now.
I think one line that you say quite often is you can't work a worker.
You can't.
Well, David Hero, I know that you've got some preparation for this big Thursday PWR Thursday Pope interview, so we're going to go ahead and let you go. And
I appreciate that.
Go to our phone callers. Summary, though, pass or fail on TNA's live Impact tonight?
You know what? It was passable with the Flair and Foley match. But then you take into consideration OJ, EY, and the Shore, and then the bogus kidnapping, it goes straight to an F. They failed.
All right, David Hero, we'll talk to you again Sunday after Bound for Glory on pay-per-view. We'll see what happens with that. Thank you for joining us, and good luck with your preparations there in getting ready for that interview with the Pope that we have on the ESPN radio show on Thursday night. Blanchard Buzz, who's also in the Chatmosphere, PWRshow.com, also on Twitter, saying, TNA as a company has too much talent to fail, but man, they sure don't help themselves out with the booking of their shows. Let's go to a couple phone calls now. You can join us on the phone lines. We're going to spend the rest of the show answering your questions and comments. Remember, we want to know where you're from and what your name is. We're going to reference you by area code. The number, 347-996-5278. 347-996-5278. And our first caller is going to be coming to us from the 847 area code. Caller, you're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive.
This is Dan from Illinois. How you doing tonight, Damien?
Tremendous. How are you, Dan?
Good. I give TNA in the middle, and I know people hate when that happens.
It's pass or fail, dude.
I'll give it a pass because of Flair and Foley.
Okay.
And I agree with David Hero that I think Hogan's gonna do a Bash at the Beach type thing. It's in the same building, same everything. Same. I think.
Wow,
Hogan
that's
will
an
do
interesting point. You know, I hadn't thought of that. It is indeed in the same building, isn't it?
Yep. Yes,
there's history there. That makes it much more substantial. To be honest, something. Good point, Dan.
And when Dixie Carter signed that paper, she signed the rights over to Eric Bischoff because she really didn't read that whole contract.
Oh,
she did it out of fear.
She pulled a Clarence Mason on him, like Clarence Mason did to Jim Cornette back in 1996?
Yeah, I remember
that.
Signed
over Vader and Owen?
Yep. So I think exactly that's what they did. What do you think on that?
Dan, heck, you're the caller of the night. You've been thinking. That makes sense.
Yeah. One thing about WWE, if I can, is that okay?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Bret the Hitman Hart is also the Raw GM.
And we'll see. I could care less if he were.
Right.
I don't think that's the way to go. He was the GM, though, remember?
But it's a smokescreen between him and Vince. Remember when Bret was the GM? He said that you're going to have to make decisions that people aren't going to like. Well, Bret went away.
Yeah.
After SummerSlam, and now he's making the decision, unpopular decision, of him putting John Cena in the Nexus.
The only way it'll be good if Bret Hart is the GM is if that has some kind of explanation for why they're doing this crap to the Hart dynasty.
Okay, and the other reason is that Bret also could tell Cena, hey, Cena, I've been screwed before, too.
All right.
So he's doing the top superstar, like Bret was the top superstar at the time. That's just my thinking, anyway.
Well, no, your thoughts have been good so far. Dan,
and one last thing, and I'll let you go. Why did the Pope say breaking the walls down?
Breaking what?
He made a comment about breaking the walls down in his promo with Nash and Sting and Bischoff.
Yeah, I wouldn't read much more into that. I see no reason whatsoever for Jericho to ever be a part of TNA Wrestling.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan, for that call. We appreciate it, and we're going to continue talking to our callers here. We're talking about TNA Impact and Reaction live tonight going into Bound for Glory 2010, coming up this Sunday night on pay-per-view. Next caller is coming to us from the 832 area code. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Yo, what up, dog? Damien, it's me, Ricardo from Houston.
Hey, Ricardo, how are you, sir?
I'm great, just great.
Overall, pass, fail on the live Impact tonight.
It would have been a total fail if it wasn't for Flair and Foley. But there's no reason Flair should be doing that anymore. He should be jumping off the top rope. He's like 60.
I don't know if you remember Kevin Kelly. Kevin Kelly, part of Ring of Honor, formerly of WWE. He put out a tweet tonight saying that is a prime example of why wrestlers should save their money.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right with that. But, I mean, if that's the match of the night and you have all that talent, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Yep. There could have been several matches of the night.
The Battle Royal, I know they were trying to, you know how Kane, I think it was in 2003, eliminated like 16 people.
Yeah.
I don't know how many it was in the Rumble. That's what they were trying to do with Abyss.
Well, I'm not sure if they were trying to do that or just trying to show Abyss as being a strong monster. And that's an easy way to do it in a Battle Royal scenario. You have somebody come in and just be the eliminator. And while we don't see it often, it is always effective. So I wouldn't say it was a complete duplication, but certainly it was very reminiscent of what happened with Kane when he was put over as strong in the Rumble that year.
Yeah, but it's like they call it a Battle Royal gauntlet. So I'm like, okay, when somebody eliminates somebody else comes out. It just confused the hell out of me. I was like, okay, whatever. And then RVD comes out, I had pins and needles all over my body, and he just eliminates Abyss. He just eliminates Abyss like in the snap of a finger, eliminates him. I was like, okay, great. Other than that, the kiss between what's her face, Tara, and the other chick,
Velvet Sky,
like,
or Madison Rain.
They're trying too hard to be PG-13. If I want to see something like that, I'll just go watch porn. It's like I don't need that. I don't need that in wrestling.
All right. Well, Ricardo, thank you very much.
One more thing. Ask me if I'm going to order this on pay-per-view.
Are you going to order Bound for Glory on Sunday?
To quote Mr. McMahon, it's just not a no. It's a oh hell no.
All right. Well, Ricardo from Houston, thank you for calling in and being a part of the program. So far, it looks like we've got 2 passes on TNA Impact tonight. If you're following us on Twitter, our Twitter username is PWR Show. Go ahead and send us pass, fail, your thoughts on tonight's TNA Impact Live. And we're going to continue on the phone lines here, and let's go to a caller calling to us from the 850 area code. Caller, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive.
How you doing, Damien? This is Dallas from Tallahassee.
Dallas from Tallahassee. Does that ever get confusing?
You have no idea.
Dallas, what did you think of TNA Impact tonight?
It is the most frustrating fail I'm going to give. They have so much talent. I know I'm a stickler for the high spots in the X division. I'm the Amazing Red, the Motor City Machine Guns, so on and so forth. And to get no mention of an Ultimate X match or anything like that. Instead, we see Bischoff on the ring for 15 minutes. We see The Shore, which should have been at least waited at least 3 weeks. I mean, I spent $70 on a ticket to go on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And, it's my first big event I've ever been to, only been to house shows. I don't know if I've just been spoiled with WWE. If, for example, if they're giving the Raw or the SmackDown right before WrestleMania, they show a promo for every single match at least 5 times. We didn't get anything like that on Impact. I don't even know what matches are going. I think the Jin Me is wrestling, only because I follow him on Twitter, but other than that,
that's a good point. They never did a match rundown. They should have done that. Never
at all, other than seeing Hogan in the, surgical room for 20 minutes, both on, Reaction and Impact, other than the Samoa Joe Jarrett Sting match. And we know that, Nash might or might not be employed next week this time, but it just seems like a big waste of time for a company that has so much talent that they're not even, I didn't even get a match rundown. I mean, I haven't seen the Before the Glory thing on TNA.com, but I'm not expecting too much.
I started watching it today. I didn't get to finish it, but it is available on demand as well, at least on DirecTV, which is my provider. So check it out. And again, you said frustrating. You said a frustrating fail.
I mean,
because
Mick Foley has been my favorite wrestler for as long as I can remember. Sting also up there. And just to see them wasted, I mean, for Foley to do this, I mean, I'm not expecting that much out of him on Sunday. And he's one of the main reasons I'm going. And now he gets all bloodied up, you know, in the Impact Zone under the rock and roller coaster. I don't get to see him at the Ocean Center, which is what I paid for.
Yeah. Well, Dallas, earlier we had a caller from Dan from Illinois, and we just sent out a tweet about his comments, but he had an interesting point reminding everybody that it was 1996 at the same exact building where Hogan went NWO, the moment that changed wrestling for years to come. Could that bear any significance on the experience you will have live at the Ocean Center on Sunday? Do you think we'll see Hogan come back? Do you think this is all a work? Do you think that it will be an NWO-type moment as Hogan might be revealed as they on Sunday?
The only reason I think they might do that, other than them showing the surgery 19 times over the last 3 hours, is that they made sure to emphasize the hatred between Sting and Hogan. And for them to completely reverse that on Sunday, or for Nash and Hogan, and I think I read on your website, Scott Hall and, you know, Six-Pac, X-Pac, whatever it's called, are back. That could be the reformation of the NWO or the band or whatever the hell they're calling themselves. But if for them to completely gang up, beat down on Sting, kind of like they did in 96, as far as they goes, unless it's Shane McMahon, Paul Heyman, DDP, Goldberg, or Randy Savage, I don't really know who it could be that would surprise me. Because if it's Bischoff, Hogan, Carter, or Dixie Carter, who it's going to be a wash no matter what. But
okay. All right. Well, we do have to move on to our next caller. And
I completely understand. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for calling, Dallas. And, hey, give us a call on the post show on Sunday. It's going to be the same number, 347-996-5278. Interested to hear your live event thoughts from the Ocean Center at Bound for Glory. We're not able to attend. We were scheduled to go, but some things came up and not able to get down there. But we would love to hear.
That hurts my heart. I was going to be looking for you at the concessions or
catering,
the tie and the coat.
You know,
you can't buy all the Pope shirts, but what are you going to do?
Maybe he'll give me one on Thursday. The challenge is I'll actually be in Orlando a couple of weeks afterwards and not able to go to the show. But be that as it may, you're going, and that's all that's important. So, Dallas from Tallahassee, have fun at Bound for Glory on Sunday. Hopefully we'll talk to you Sunday on the post show.
You got it, Damien. I'll give you a call after I get out.
All right. Thanks, Dallas. You're listening to the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive Live. We're talking about TNA Impact Live from tonight and the reaction that followed. A couple of tweets we're getting in on our Twitter account. Our Twitter username is PWR Show. I want to remind everybody, though, before we do that, if you're listening to this show, whether it's live or archived, make sure you follow the show on Blog Talk Radio and also mark it as a favorite on Blog Talk Radio. Get the updates when we do these special editions and also when we do our weekly ESPN radio shows so that you're never out of the loop about the Pro Wrestling Report and when it's going to be on. As we said, coming up this Thursday, it's Thursday PWR, Thursday Pope. Last week our guest was Jeff Jarrett. Coming up in 2 weeks, our guest is Kurt Angle. User on Twitter by the name of Yankees666 says, pass, I really enjoyed, except for the shore. You guys are really blowing it out of proportion. TNA is one of my favorite TNA programs. Well, we appreciate that feedback, and all we do is simply, it's all about opinion. So that is ours, and that is yours. Loyal TNA fan says this Impact would be, I would have to say, fail. Foley, Flair, and the Anderson Angle brawl on reaction were seemingly the good parts. Continuing talking about some of our feedback from Twitter, they have given, this is from Steve Molesky, they have given their BFG promos 30,000 times every week, and now all of a sudden people don't even know what matches are on the pay-per-view. All right, Bunda713 giving a little props to Ricardo from Houston, saying it's not just a no, it's a hell no. We are retweeting all these comments as we read them, so you can go ahead and follow us on Twitter. As I said, join the thousands of others who are doing so. Get all the late-breaking news and updates from the Pro Wrestling Report. We're all each individually on Twitter as well. You can follow us by our names on Twitter: Damian Nelson, David Hero, WCW Meathead, Linda K22, and F. Cosentino. Beach Burn Bob his feedback on reaction and Impact tonight. Hashmark, here's the thing, epic fail. Wow. Lots of spirited discussion tonight on this event. Let's go to our next caller. Our next caller calling from 440 area code. Caller, you are live. It sounds like we got a little bit of static, so I'll give you an opportunity to ask your question, and then we'll move forward. Caller from the 440 area code. All right, moving on. Let's go back to the chatmosphere at Blog Talk Radio, who says, a couple of people making some comments here, specifically about TNA President Dixie Carter, and not too happy with her being on the show is Evil Dead Ash, who says, TNA will never truly succeed. TNA will never truly succeed as long as Dixie Carter continues to inject herself into the shows. She's horrible. And don't give me that crap that she's hot. Hot or not, she completely drags down the show when she's on. Wow. Interesting perspective there and spirited discussion in our chat room on Blog Talk Radio. Of course, our very own chatmosphere at pwrshow.com. Several comments there about tonight's TNA Impact and TNA Reaction. And that's, again, spirited discussion there, and you can join in at pwrshow.com. Bobby Boucher saying with TNA Impact tonight was a fail-tacular, whatever that means, a fail so epic it was almost a win. Well, wow. All right, let's go to our final caller of the evening. Our caller is calling from the 857 area code. Caller, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive.
Hey, what's going on, Damien? This is Dashling Awesome Bowman from Boston.
Bowman, how are you, sir?
I'm okay until I sat down and watched Impact.
Share your wisdom.
Oh, I mean, it's just basics. You don't make debuts until the next night after your biggest pay-per-view. Why? Because that's when most people are watching.
That's that intro. No matter what, after a pay-per-view, and then with TNA, it wouldn't be the next day. It'd be the following Thursday. But nevertheless, that's when you get that bump from those that didn't order the pay-per-view, may not have read the results, may not have been able to get a stream. They tune in to see what happened on the pay-per-view, and they could be pleasantly surprised by some extra stuff that's given to them on that show. And let's not forget, I still want to liken back to that comment that Dan from Illinois made earlier about the location of this pay-per-view. It's not something I had thought about. That could prove to be significant on Sunday for Bound for Glory. It's the location where the NWO was born.
So let's go ahead and rehash something that gets from the Attitude Era. That sounds great. Just along the same line. EV 2.0. It's just it'll be nice for the one of the night that works about for Glory. But where do they go from the next 3 months from it?
Yeah, that's a good point. And Eric Bischoff did an interview recently saying that everything we're going to see at Bound for Glory this Sunday and some of the stuff we saw tonight was all part of a 3-month build, a build since March, 5-month build or so, a build since March to get to this point. Now, believe that or not, we still got to give Bound for Glory a chance on Sunday. And keep in mind, this show was not a bad show. I want to make that crystal clear. In my opinion, for the hype it was given and the fact that it was live and the specialness it could have been, it did not meet expectations on that level. Not knocking any of the performers, especially Ric Flair and Mick Foley, who over-delivered tonight. But overall, I'm not sure the show did what it needed to do, which was to put eyes on that screen on Sunday for Bound for Glory.
Yeah, that's very true. It's funny, they give away another great message the same way they did last year with AJ and Kurt Angle. But, you know, my thing is with I think too many people try to give TNA the excuse or try to be nice about it. We can't be nice to them anymore. If you want them to improve, you need to let them know about it, and they need to know about it hard. This can't be, oh, well, they're trying and they're doing this. But no, if they're sitting there and they're telling us they want to compete, they want to be be considered one of the elite professional wrestling brands out there, you need to treat them as such. Yep. Point blank. You need to bring them. You need to hold them to a high standard, which therefore they will raise the bar. I mean, that's what WWE fans did back in 1996. They expected more out of WWE, and eventually WWE gave that to them.
That is true, Bowman. We are out of time. Thank you very much for calling in and being our final caller of the week. As usual, this is a special edition of the Pro Wrestling Report. A couple of tweets we want to end the show with. Blanchard Buzz, Impact was a fail, and Reaction was a pass. Foley and Flair proved yet again why they are Hall of Famers. And finally, Lance Brock saying, I say it was a win. It was great. I loved it. TNA, TNA, TNA. Sunday night, we're back with you right after Bound for Glory. And then Thursday, it's Thursday PWR, Thursday Pope. Thanks for tuning in to the PWR Interactive Live Special Edition.